I will take the opportunity now to officially say hello. Warm greetings to our friends. Good morning to our friends in North and South America. Good afternoon to our friends in UK and Europe, Dubai. Good evening to our friends in India, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Japan, and good late evening to our friends in Australia. I believe we have some questions.
Dear Ajahn, in one of Buddha's previous life, it was said that he practiced generosity and gave up his wife and children. It resulted in them becoming slaves. Should one practice generosity without harming others? Some monks said this story is not true and said most of the Jakarta tales are not real.
Right.
What is Ajahn view?
So it's interesting, isn't it? I guess the moral of the story, of that particular story, is that the Bodhisattva practitioner is giving up that which he loves and cherishes most. That's the kind of point. I admit that it seems unusual because Bodhisattva also has vast compassion. So for myself, I don't want to sound too blunt, but we're in the practice tradition, and we're in the business of cultivating calm and insight. So for myself, because I trust that Lord Buddha is perfectly pure and boundlessly compassionate, I'm not going to worry about, was he really mean in his last life before he became, it's not possible. It's not possible that the Mahabodhisattva was really mean in his last life before he became the Buddha. So it's like, I don't know the details of the story, all of them. I wasn't there. Maybe I was. I can't remember if I was there. But what I do have faith in is that the Mahabodhisattva, when he's on the 10th level of the Bodhisattva Bhumis, can only act with, it says the Bodhisattva's mind quiver with compassion for all beings. Cultivating the 10 paramitas, including metta, for 4 asankhyas plus 100,000 eons. So for myself, whatever was going on in the Bodhisattva's path in those last lives was utterly wholesome. And so I'm not going to personally waste any time or energy wondering if the Buddha was mean a few lifetimes ago. What I am going to apply my energy to is looking at the methods that he gave us to purify our minds and diligently work on doing that. And for myself, I just trust that the Buddha is utterly good. And with regards to the question, should one practice generosity in conjunction with compassion? Of course. And I'm sure the Bodhisattva did on billions of occasions. Yeah, are the Jatika tales all true or not? It's hard to know, isn't it? We're talking about stories that were from a very, very long time ago. So maybe some of them are true, maybe some of them aren't. And I guess the point I would make is if a story is helpful to you, then contemplate that story, because you want to read things that uplift your mind and mean something to you. So if one of the Jataka's tales resonates with you and is helpful to you, we'll study that one and contemplate that one. If one of them seems not useful, then just leave it aside. Read something uplifting. So.
The Ajahn Chah tradition emphasizes meditation. Is Abhidhamma also studied in the Ajahn Chah tradition, or how important is it?
Yes. So from my observation, having lived in the Ajahn Chah tradition for 25 years, is the focus is more on those cardinal suttas. So your basic teachings on developing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, developing your breath meditation, and suttas with regards particularly to Kammatthana body contemplation of things as elements, things specifically related to purifying and liberating the mind, and of course the Vinaya. So Ajahn Chah's tradition is a tradition that practices Dhamma Vinaya. So we also try to keep the rules in spirit and letter. Abhidhamma is practiced voluntarily by some people who have an interest in it. So Ajahn Kalyano did study the Abhidhamma in one of the years I was at Wat Mapchan, Thanajanand's monastery. He did study the Abhidhamma, and he actually came first in the Thai nation in the exams for the Abhidhamma. So it's one of those things that some people do if they have an interest in it. And it can be, I met one laywoman who told me that she gave up Abhidhamma. She gave up studying Abhidhamma herself because she noticed that the people who studied it became more arrogant. And she noticed that they started fault finding with practice monks and disagreeing with things that they read in Dhamma books. So this is a woman who studied it for several years, and she came and told me privately, I gave it up because the people who were studying it seemed to be degenerating in wholesome qualities and negative qualities were growing. So I guess that's one of the things to observe, isn't it? Do your studies make you a more humble, more respectful, more gracious human being? Or do they make you more arrogant? Or do they make you more confused? And so we have to just pay attention which things support our practice, which things are helpful. In general, I would say Luang Por Chah leaned towards keeping it simple and then practicing a lot. So one of the central themes in the Ajahn Chah tradition, where he would, and it is based in sutta, but it's very, very simple. If you want to grow in Dhamma, eat little, speak little, sleep little, and meditate a lot. So if you can do those things, you will grow in Dhamma. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? Try it. Sleep a little less, eat a little less, talk a little less, meditate a little bit more every day consistently. It's not as easy as it sounds. But people who cultivate those practices tend to experience a greater sense of clarity and more mindfulness, and the longer one practices with those principles, that sense of clarity develops. Sometimes I think these things have a lot to do with a person's character inclination. So whatever practices one's practiced in the past, it's good to keep in mind that it's according to the version of events that we hear. Lord Buddha taught the Abhidhamma to Devas during one rainy season retreat when he was teaching his mother. And so we can deduce from that these teachings are intended for beings who have a refined and very cultivated mind. So I wouldn't assume for myself that I have the most refined, most cultivated, most sophisticated mind. I wouldn't start with that presumption. And I would start with the presumption that I should look at the basic teachings and I should practice those basics very diligently. And if my mind becomes more refined, more sophisticated, more beautiful, and similar with the Vajrayana, a phrase that comes up in the Vajrayana teachings is that they were intended for beings with the highest faculties. So trying to understand Vajrayana Tantra and practice the highest tantras and all those things, it's just good to keep in mind that it was intended for people with very developed and sophisticated minds. Myself, I just love breath meditation as the main practice. And if you read the paragraph in breath meditation on the Anapanasati Sutta, after the introduction where Lord Buddha is talking about how these bhikkhus were becoming Sotapanna, Sakadagamis, Anagamis, and Arahants left, right, and center during that time in the Buddhist, when the Buddhist Sasana was in its early years and flourishing. He says about breath meditation that when one cultivates breath meditation diligently, the 4 foundations of mindfulness are developed. In developing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 7 factors of enlightenment are brought to fruition. And in bringing the 7 factors of enlightenment to fruition, the mind is purified and liberated. Lord Buddha says this in one paragraph in the beginning of the Anapanasati Sutta. So for myself, it's like, that's the information I need. Lord Buddha has said, this practice will help you develop the 4 foundations of mindfulness and fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment. And through doing that, your mind will be liberated. So I try to practice breath meditation a lot, and I find it very helpful. Different people have different characters. So if a person is more studious or likes sophisticated intellectual ideas, then there is a certain type of person that maybe needs to study more. To know if it's the right practice for you, I think what would happen is if you study, you'll be starting to feel rapture. When you do your dhamma vichaya, when you do your dhamma study, you'll be kind of rapturously interested and happy and inspired by the Buddha's words. That's how you know this is a practice that helps you. But if you get more confused and you start comparing it to all sorts of other things, and you find that it's a distraction, you find that you're meditating less, well then that it's not a practice for you. In general, when it came to the rainy season retreat in Wat Pong in the old days, Ajahn Chah made the monks put the books in a cupboard and lock the cupboard. That was that was how serious he was about you guys, particularly the Western monks. He said, you guys have enough ideas, you have enough thoughts, you have enough concepts, you've done enough study. What you need to do is now study your mind, learn the way it makes you miserable, and learn how to stop doing that with other practices, obviously, loving kindness practice, metta practice. And we've gone through the 11 benefits of metta from the sutta, benefits of metta. And one of the first ones is those who cultivate metta, their minds become peaceful easily. So it's like, these are the verses in the suttas that I like. Breath meditation will help you cultivate the 4 foundations of mindfulness and develop the 7 factors of enlightenment. Okay, that's a paragraph that I really like, really helpful. And in Metta Sutta, those who cultivate loving kindness, their minds will become peaceful easily. Okay, that's another sutta that I find really helpful. So then what am I going to do? I'm going to go and meditate. I'm going to do loving kindness meditation for the first 10 minutes, and then I'm going to watch my breath, and I'm going to try to use my breath to establish the mindfulness to recognize the body's a body, thoughts are thoughts, feelings are feelings. It's not self, not mine, not I. And don't think about the past, and don't think about the future, and don't think about other people. And notice the way the mind becomes more peaceful and more clear and has less suffering. And then I try to do that several times a day, every day. And it's very fulfilling. And so that's where my faith lies, in the basic practices. And but if study is helpful to you, observe. Does studying the Abhidhamma lead to more feelings of faith? Lead to more feelings of rapture, tranquility? Does it inspire you to practice more? Do you notice less unwholesome speech and more wholesome speech? If that's the effect it has, then please do it.
Thank you so much, Ajahn. I wanted to ask if Phra Acana Buddha image at Wat Si Chum Temple of the Bodhi tree is one of the blessed Buddha statues in Thailand, Sadhu.
So this is the very big Buddha statue made from bricks and stucco in Sukhothai. It's from the ancient kingdom of Sukhothai. And it is considered one of the blessed and sacred statues of Thailand. And I have had some peaceful meditations there myself. So on my recent pilgrimage in northern Thailand with a small group of close students, we did go and meditate there 3 times. And everybody did have peaceful meditations. So Yes, I believe that it is blessed and sacred. It's about somewhere, but it must be about 1,000 years old, and it was very revered. In general, if any statue was revered for centuries by many thousands of people, you could pretty well take it as a given that it has imbibed some very good energies and over the centuries. Yes, very beautiful to meditate there early in the morning as the sun rises before the tourists come. You get a chance to go there, please go. It's about a 3-hour drive from where I live.
Since we are joining in the Dhamma talk from the comfort of our home, is it alright to wear pyjamas, or are we supposed to change into proper white tops? Sadhu.
You can wear pajamas down below and white tops on the top. But actually, you can wear any color. But I guess in general, you don't want to be too casual. So if you're going to be spending some time with a bhikkhu, talking about lofty-minded subjects, then you want to be what's the word? In Thai we say riaparoi. You want to be decent. My mother would ask, she's coming into my room, "Are you decent?" So please be decent. If it helps you to feel, what's the word, that you're giving respects to the Dhamma, dress appropriately.
Hi Bhante, I meditate not to attain Nirvana. I meditate to attain positive mind and positive body, and to be in peace in my present life. Is this wrong, Bhante? Thank you.
I don't think it's wrong. So I don't think that's wrong. I think it's a middle way, isn't it? So we meditate to experience greater well-being. We want to have more mindfulness. We want to be able to recognize our mind states, wholesome, unwholesome, and we want to be able to develop some ability to let go of attachment to mind states. So that's going to cultivate more well-being. But it's basically also you have a short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. So even though you're meditating to experience some peace of mind, it is an aspect of right view that you aspire to liberate the mind from greed, hatred, and delusion. So that's part of right view. As a Buddhist, when you take refuge in the Buddha, that's what it means. When you take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, it means that you believe that Nirvana is real, the Buddha realized it, and that the Dhamma practices will lead to it. So that's part of our basic refuge and basic aspiration. And then we try to make the mind peaceful and experience greater well-being. I would suggest that at the very least, to try to observe the 3 characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self to some degree, because this is also noticing the characteristics of conditions is actually what is going to eventually liberate the mind. But we notice them on basic level first, just kind of trying to be aware when the leaves fall from trees, or when the grass needs cutting again, or you're cutting your fingernails again, both inside and outside of practice. You're just kind of noticing, oh, I have to cut my fingernails again. Oh, I have to shave my face again. Oh, the lawn needs mowing. The leaves are falling off the trees. You just, oh, my grandmother passed away, or my uncle passed away. You're noticing impermanence, and you're informing the mind with this, because we have a tendency to grasp at things as being permanent and wanting them to be permanent. And if we don't weaken that to some degree, we're going to suffer when we are separated from the loved, and when we have to be associated with the disliked. So we just notice, we try to make the mind bright, trying to make it peaceful, try to bring the body to a state of ease, and notice the cessation of the in-breath, and notice the cessation of the out-breath, and set the determination outside of your practice that you will be mindful of change and impermanence, and consider the fact that things which are not permanent should not be regarded as I or mine or a self. So it's like you just add a little bit of contemplation to it, and then it's going in the right direction. So I think sitting and wanting to attain Nibbana every sit can certainly cause a lot of suffering. And we're in the business of trying to reduce our suffering. So we understand that it's a long-term goal for most of us. And in situations like retreats, nobody attains Nibbana by sitting down and wanting to attain Nibbana. But wanting to attain Nibbana will help people to get on their pillows, knowing that there is going to be long-term good consequences to this practice, incredible consequences, complete liberation from every type of suffering, if you're really diligent in your meditation, cultivating the clarity that will see the three characteristics. So middle way, we do have the aspiration, and then we diligently sow the causes, because it's sowing the causes which leads to the fruit. And having the intention to make the mind wholesome in your daily practice is a very large part of what will eventually lead to that realization. So I don't think it's wrong, but I would just ask the person to have it as a long-term goal and add a little bit of contemplation of the three characteristics to the practice. Then it will be going in the right direction. And I think Shrada is here, and I would like to give Shrada opportunity to update us.
Hello.
Tell us how the situation is in Nepal, and tell us how the food dana went and whether it was appreciated, please.
It's improving. The corona situation is improving a lot, and the lockdown is also it's easing up starting last week. People could go out, stores opened, cars were allowed. There were you could only drive on alternate days depending on the number plate, had to be even or odd. And then starting tomorrow, then everything is open. So things are getting better. And regarding the food dana, thank you so much, Ajahn, and thank you all the students of yours who were so supportive. We supported a lot of programs. Let me see if I can remember all of them. We sent food to orphanages because there were a lot of them that were having problems because people who are usually coming to donate food couldn't come because of the lockdown. So we sent food via delivery to a few orphanages. We gave funds to give to one of the groups called COVID Alliance to give food for 50 households. They gave food for 50 families. There was another group that gave food to, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering all the numbers right away, but I think either 40 or 100 families through public schools. So the kids who go to public schools are usually quite poor, so they gave a lot of food there. And then we also gave money to buy food for the scouts, the boys and girls scout who were, they were all volunteering and cooking food and bringing to the streets to the people who were living in the streets, and you couldn't give them groceries because they didn't have a place to cook. So they were doing that daily. So we gave them some funds there. Also recently we gave some to a handicapped home. I just sent you some pictures today, so you may not have seen it. There's also ethnic community that's outside of Kathmandu, but they were having a lot of hard time. So we also gave money to a group that was going there. And I also sent by delivery food to people who I knew through people I knew. And then so those were the people I knew personally, and they were so grateful. And some of them called and And there were some that I went, and the old ladies who live in the temples, that they have like a little shack by the temple. And they were so grateful, and they sent a lot of blessings. They were very touched that, someone they don't know is thinking of them and sending them help without even knowing them. So they sent lots of blessings to Ajahn, you and everyone who was thinking of them and supporting them. So, and I forgot to mention the hospital. So the hospital also, a nurse and a doctor contacted me because they were having the COVID patients were getting food from the government, but not their. They each could have one person who would sit with the patients, and and then there were some of the patients who were also not getting food, so we gave them money so they could eat at the cafeteria 2 meals a day. So that's ongoing. They send an appreciation letter, which I sent you today by email, and we're also continuing that for next month as well.
Okay, great. So basically,
Thank you so much, everyone.
We did manage to get some help out there to a lot of people when they needed it, and essentially things are getting better now. Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's getting better. Things are starting to open up, and people are going back to work. So. Okay,
very good.
And also the Lion Clubs in Nepal, Shrada.
That's right. Yeah. They were helping the group. What is it? The Chepang group, is it?
Yeah.
Are they an indigenous people or?
They are. Okay.
Nice. Thank you so much for working so hard to get the resources where they needed to be.
Yeah, thank you, Ajahn. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to you and everyone for being so generous and kind and thoughtful. Thank you.
Okay, I've been to Patan with Joyce and with Chai Ek and with Mike and Seto, several people in this group, and we love it there. We love how friendly and welcoming the Nepali people are, and we feel a loving regard for you all. And we also love the beautiful handicrafts that were developed over centuries, the Buddhist art. It's very, very precious. So, I mean, for myself, I was just in the Patan in Nepal last year at a time when it was very kind of joyful and happy. Everyone was okay, they seemed, at least from what I could see. And so to just think of all the people having to stay at home, day wage earners, not being able to go out and get a wage and not being able to eat, and kids in school not eating, and people in hospitals not eating, it was kind of tearing at my heart. I wanted the lovely people of Patan to be eating at least. So it was the least that we can do, and we hope the situation gets better and better.
Thank you so much.
And, look forward to coming back one day again too.
Yes, please do.
You can introduce me to a couple of those I like old temple ladies, so you can introduce me to a couple of them. And I think we helped a couple of little kids too, did we, with their schooling?
Yes.
Oh, so, you did. You and your mum did first.
Yeah, we did first, but the rest of them, so I forgot to mention that. We also have some funding that, or some that you had sent, and some more that you recently sent that we were going to give to kids. Maybe we were thinking because it would be nice if they could have education, be able to support themselves in the future. And it's really nice to have food for them now, but also that. And we have that separated, but the schools haven't started. So I thought once the school, and these are the kids who don't do online schooling because they don't have the devices to do it. So once the school starts, we'll go visit them. And
okay, great. Yeah. So please, we give you permission to use the funds, whatever you think is most wisely, that will be most beneficial. From you're kind of our on-ground person, so we're going to trust your sense for what is needed and who needs it. And you have our permission to use your, obviously, an intelligent young lady. So we respect your intelligence and we trust you. So
thank you, Ajahn.
Please do as you see fit. And thank you for helping us to make good karma also.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ajahn. And I'm very grateful to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Is our Indian chanting friend still around?
Arranger, he was not working for so many months, and he started working now. So I've given him the basic tunes, and now he's going.
Was that literally today? Was it?
Yes,
Oh,
today.
great.
So from there straight, I've come to my mom's house. Yeah, so because it's very close to my mom's house, so I've
And
come.
how are you?
It was a very nice meeting with the programmer. Was very nice. So we would talking about a lot of sounds that we can put in the background. It was very, very fruitful meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
And how are all your relatives? Some of them were sick, but everyone's okay now, are they?
Yeah, kind of okay. My dad is a little unwell still. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise everything is okay. So
how old is your dad? How old is your dad?
79.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have something now that you're so inspired? Do you have something to share with us?
Yes, I do have. The Karniya Metta Sutta.
Yeah. Great.
So this is a kind of final tune before, just like last minute changes can be made in the studio, but this is the kind of the final tune right now. Yeah. So it's like this. Karaniya mattha kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecha sakku ujucha suhujucha suvachocha samudu anatimani santuskocha subharocha apakicchocha sallahukkavutти santindriyocha nipakocha appagabhukulesu ananugitho nachakuttam samachare kinchi yena viyupare upaddayeyum sukhino vakemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhit atta ye kechi pan bhutathi tasavatha varava anavasesa dīghāvāye mahantava machimarasaka anukathula ditthāvāye cha aditthā ye cha dure vasanti avidure bhūtāvā sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhit atta na paro parang nikupetha nati mayetha pakathacinang kinchi vyarosana patik sanya. I missed one line. Mata yatha niyam puttang ayusa ek puttang anurakhe evam pi sab bhutesu manasang bhavaye aparimanam metam cha sappalokasmin manasang bhavaye aparimanam uddhang adho cha tiriyam cha asambadhang avirang asapattam titham charan nisinno va sayano va yavatassa vikadamadho etang sating adittheya brahmang etang viharang idhang ahum ditthim chanugampang silavadassanena sampanno kamesu vinayegedham nahi jatu kapaseyam punareti.
Sadhu. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Ajahn. So this is based on a rag called Gorak Kalyan.
Right.
And it's very nice. The notes of the raga is very nice. So I wanted that element of like peace and harmony in the melody of this one.
Yeah, it's very nourishing to the soul, I would say.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
Because
very soothing.
I've been just I've composed so many, and I don't I think I discard more than I compose. So this is
Well, you can always do a second and a third album. So. Your new career. Well, lined it up for you. So.
All thanks to your blessings, and I'm so glad you like this tune. It was.
It's very beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajahn.
We look
Thank
forward
you.
to having. We look forward to having our first track.
Yeah. I'm trying to send it before the Guru Purnima, so before the Purnima. So
The
let's see.
Vasa. Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Sadhu.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to see, I'm going to unpin you now, and I want to see some other people's faces, because I'm going to ask, I want to see if everyone else liked it. Did everyone else like it? Please nod your heads. Oh, I have a lot of nodding heads here. Actually, you have to nod your head like an Indian. Okay, yes, we liked it. So.
Can we all please pay our respect to Prajan before he leaves? 3 bows, please. Rap. Rap. Rap.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu,
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 sadhu.
Thank you
so
much.
much.
Good rest,
Sister.
sister.
Done. Good night.